Warning, the following video contains spoilers. If you don't want this episode spoiled for you, switch the video off now. Okay, so before we get too far into the review, just a quick disclaimer. If you hear any loud banging in the background, it's because the neighbours are once again either doing DIY or having incredibly kinky rumpy pumpy. So if you hear any weird noises, it's because of that. Also, my computer crashed during my recording of the previous attempt to do this video, so we'll do this as carefully as physically possible, so if I sound at all stressed or at all afraid, you know why. Now, last week I promised to tell my bad Sir Night-Eye joke if that video got to the lofty heights of 5 likes. And guess what, folks? We did it. We got to 5 likes, and with that said and done, I will tell my joke in just a moment. However, I would just like to say here and now, thank you for all those likes, and it would be nice to see if we get to another 5 likes for this week's video, and if we do, I'll do my bad Endeavour joke next week. A joke possibly so bad that I'll get erased from existence totally, let alone kicked off YouTube. And if we break 50 subscribers, then I will do a review of the Two Heroes movie, which will drop sometime towards the end of this season of My Hero Academia. I frankly don't have time to do it now, if I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you, so I'll have to do it later. So hopefully at some point between now and the end of this season, we'll break 50 subscribers so I can do a review of that movie, because I have things to say about it. But in any case, let us get on to the actual joke that I've been teasing, and the joke is this. Remember, this comes from the context that this was supposed to be for last week, so here it is. Looks like it's nighty-night for Sir Night-Eye. Look, I told you it was going to be a bad joke, and boy, he didn't see that one coming now, did he? But anyway, on to the actual meat of the review itself. This week's episode, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, dear listener, felt more like an epilogue to the epilogue, which once again makes me ask questions if this show should be longer, and makes me ask further questions about the handling of this show as regards adaptation, though that question itself is far too broad and far too meta for a show like this, and we wasted way too much time with my intro to this show as is. And to be honest with you, it's a path I don't really want to go into, otherwise I'll get called all kinds of names under the sun. But from a content point of view, I have to say that, say from the material directly towards the start of the episode with Gran Torino hunting down the warpy teleporter boy, who then bumped into the big lad that looks like my ex's current boyfriend, and the stuff towards the end of the story with Todoroki and Bakugo getting towards the exam, the stuff in the middle of that felt kind of limp. Now, of course, that is, if we're looking at this purely from a fanboy, all action, all the time, anything that doesn't directly push the story forward is just filler mentality. The truth of the matter is that there's great content to be had within this episode itself, particularly as far as character development itself goes. Yes, you don't have people throwing cars at each other. Yes, you don't see Midoriya going all for one times a squillion, but what we have here is developing the characters and particularly showing their mentality and where they are personally in the aftermath of everything that has just happened to them. This is a story where we get to see that the weight of everything that's happened is starting to push down upon them, and they are now finally going back to the life they had before it as changed people. Though I have to feel that the majority of the character development, interesting stuff, was done with Mirio and, surprisingly, with Bakugo. With Mirio, it's self-evident that he's smiling through the pain, so that he can be a hero of another breed, to be a role model, to be an inspirational figure, not leaping into buildings and saving people from destruction, but more in the sense of that he's trying to do this to inspire people to greater things in the future. He may never get his quirk back, he may never be going about in his cape saving people, but the people he's going to save is going to be more on a personal level, trying to save them from doing horrible things and save them from having a horrible life. That is really remarkable, and it just goes again to show as to why, in the grand scheme of things, maybe he should have inherited all for one, or one for all, or whatever, rather than Midoriya, but that's a whole other debate and discussion. With Bakugo, it's smaller stuff with him. It's that small scale stuff, almost like with the current Doctor, with her character development stuff. It's small character moments within the episode itself, which tell a lot more than they do on first glance. With Bakugo, you know that it's killing him deep inside, that Midoriya got wrapped up with all the overhaul stuff, and the stuff with the Yakuza. That not only was Midoriya the big hero in the end of the day that saved the little girl, defeated Overhaul, helped to disband the Yakuza, and despite the death of Sir Night-Eye, the loss of Mirio's quirk, and the death of Pro Hero Snatch, he is bloody livid because he wants to be the hero. He wants to be the guy that saves the day and becomes a big famous superhero that's going to be better than All Might. And all the while, he's stuck doing re-examinations and taking classes because he screwed up his provisional license because he wasn't nice enough. Not because he was failed by some bigger threat, some bigger evil, but due to a personality flaw within himself, and that he's eating himself alive and he's making a bubble of self-loathing and hatred in a really, really interesting way to me. His biggest threat, his biggest thing that he has to deal with is not some big nasty bad guy with a club or a hammer lurking in the shadows. It's his own personality. And this whole story, in the end of the day, it may be him coming to get a hold of his anger, get a hold of his insecurities, or maybe not. We'll soon see how that goes. But it's really interesting seeing him in the episode just being so bitter that it wasn't him that was the hero in the end. That he was stuck having to take extra classes because he buggered up his exam, and it's brilliant to see that stuff. Not brilliant to see someone suffering, I might add, but brilliant to see actually our character that's having to deal with something other than just punching the bad guy really, really hard in the face until they fall over. They have some kind of emotional stakes and a feeling as though they're going to grow and develop. As there are a great many other shows, movies and pieces of fiction that quite frankly do not have that. In this episode, we also get introduced to who will likely be the big bad of this story arc. The big bad, the big ginormous guy, I don't remember his name, but this is a character who I feel that if he is going to ultimately be the big bad of this story arc, is going to be more of a force of nature type villain, rather than the superhero mastermind kind of thing. And I am totally fine with that. He seemingly is going to have no elaborate borderlining on convoluted master plan. He's just going to go out there and smash the hell out of anyone he doesn't like the look of, or simply because he can. And I like that. I like having a variety of different ways in doing things. Variety. It's the spice of life. Ding! I hope he does become the big bag of this story arc, because I am, from what I can understand and what I gather, this isn't going to be the heaviest story arc in the world. It's going to be a little more fun and a little bit looser. And to have a little bit more of a simplistic bad guy, I'm fine with at the end of the day. And speaking of end of the days, let us now go into the overview itself. The overview where I tell you what I think of the episode as a whole. Okay, now it's time for the overview. What did I think about the episode as a whole? And as a whole, I have to say that this is a very fine, commendable episode of My Hero Academia. It does not change the world or recontextualise our view of the show and the events they're in, nor is there some kind of fantastic action sequence they're in which makes us go, whoa! At the end of the day, this is a perfectly fine episode that is really more about developing characters than really anything else at the moment, which I'm fine with because character development is always welcome in any piece of fiction. However, I do feel as though it does suffer from the fact that this is an episode which is planted squarely between two story arcs. It's set between the big overhaul arc, which is big, scary and amazing, and just before the whole quote-unquote remedial arc stuff, which we're about to get to. So it's kind of stuck between two posts. It's never really much of one as much as it is the other. And like I say, it feels like an epilogue to an epilogue more than the prologue to something that's yet to come. We'll see how that goes. And I have to say that even though I like the idea of having a simpler big bad, someone who's just going to thump people on the head and that's just about it, I feel it's way too soon to be introducing him as being the big bad, if indeed he is going to be the big bad. Because it's way too soon after we last saw Overhaul, and to be quite frank with you, Overhaul's a really interesting villain, and to have a villain, even if he is just wonderfully simplistic in his worldview and how he deals with things, he ain't going to hold a candle to him, Maybe introduce him in a couple of episodes, 3 or 4 episodes time rather than now. I mean, if this whole story arc is going to be a little bit more lighter and looser, we can avoid doing character development for a bad guy that at the end of the day is just going to thump people really, really hard. But you never know, he may have some kind of amazing anime tragic backstory which will at the end of the day make us realise he's not really that bad or his badness is justified or something, I don't know. But rather you, dear viewer, what do you think about this week's episode of My Hero Academia? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And be sure to like, favourite and subscribe to this video. If we break 5 likes, then I'll tell my bad endeavour joke. And if we break 50 subscribers, then I will do my review of My Hero Academia, the movie, 2 soul stories, 2 heroes. 2 heroes, that's the name of the movie, because I have things to say about it, which may be the point in certain circles that people just sit down and bugger off and never want to speak to me ever again. But we'll soon see about that. Thank you for listening. Like, favourite, subscribe, do the YouTubey stuff because YouTube wants you to do. support your local content creator. Thank you and goodbye.